JBNN will keep you informed. I am Michelle Jones, and in the news, Chang warns capital murder for man held in killing of Hanover schoolgirl. National Security Minister Dr. Horace Chang wants a 42-year-old man in police custody in relation to the killing of 9-year-old schoolgirl Nikita Jojo Noel to be charged with capital murder and locked away for life. Chang said the police, in collaboration with forensic experts, are now compiling evidence ahead of formal laying charges against the man for the alleged rape and murder of the Esher primary school student in Hanover earlier this month. I expect it to be capital murder because obviously you knew the child. You knew when she came in from school. So that's a premeditated murder, said Chang, who is also Jamaica's Deputy Prime Minister, while responding to questions from reporters during a visit in Greenwich, Westmoreland on Friday. The brutality of the act is difficult. It cannot be comprehended. So I expect the police in conjunction with the forensic lab to put the evidence together to effect the charge, and this one is a charge of murder, he continued. This man is brutal and has to be kept out of the community for life, the National Security Minister declared. That kind of activity can only be described as brutal. It is difficult to comprehend how you can have a human being behave like that. Speaking on the investigation, Chang said a post-mortem is to be done to collect the required evidence. DNA evidence will be crucial, and the forensic lab is moving at a good clip, but it will take a little while to have all the evidence together. In a case like that, you don't want to have any loopholes. It's a very sad thing, he explained. The police reported that on February 1, 9-year-old Nikita Noel of a Q address near Lucy in Hanover was reported missing by her mother, Nordia Edwards, who became suspicious after her daughter didn't come home from school. And following hours of a community-wide search led by family members and law enforcers, her lifeless body was found near her home. The police, upon examination of her body, had theorized that she was raped and strangled to death. Man killed, 3 women injured at topless party in Greenwich Town. A man was killed and 3 women shot and injured during an attack in Greenwich Town, St. Andrew, on Friday night. The incident occurred at a party that was being held along 3rd Street in the community, which is reportedly under Zone of Special Operation, Zozo. The dead man has only been identified as Chucky. The injured women were reportedly from the area. They were treated and released from hospital. It was reported that around 8:15 p.m., the now deceased was among other people attending an event called Topless, which was being held at a bar in the community. Police said it was alleged that 2 men armed with handguns approached where the now deceased was standing at the front of the bar and opened gunfire hitting him and the 3 women. The police were called and upon arrival found the now deceased on the ground in a pool of blood, suffering from gunshot wounds to the head. He and the injured females were assisted to hospital, where he was pronounced dead, and the females treated and released. Upon processing the scene, police found 11 9mm spent casings. 3 teens shot, 1 fatally in St. Anne. 3 teenagers were shot, 1 fatally, during an attack by a gunman at Breadfruit Tree in Pineapple Place, Ocho Rios, St. Anne, Friday evening. The dead man has been identified as 18-year-old Kyle Dunn from Pineapple Place. The 2 injured persons, both males, are from St. Mary addresses. It was reported that around 8:10 p.m., all 3 were standing in a family yard with other people when they were approached by a man armed with a handgun who opened fire on them. After the shooting subsided, Dunn and the other 2 teens were seen suffering from gunshot wounds. All 3 were rushed by residents to hospital, where Dunn, who was shot in the left side of his chest, died while being treated. The other 2 males were admitted. Slippers with ganja and tobacco found at St. Catherine Parish Court Jail. An investigation is underway following the seizure of drugs at the St. Catherine Parish Court Jail on Friday. Police personnel found contraband consisting of tobacco, ganja and Riso inside slippers during a routine search. The slippers were suspended from a string, which the police believe would allow prisoners to retrieve the illegal items from the outside. A similar discovery was made a week ago. Several members of the court said it was a dangerous practice which must be tackled decisively. The discovery came in the wake of Chief Justice Brian Sykes' warning that ganja smoking should not be allowed in the precinct of the Supreme Court building in Kingston. Jamaican Mastermind extradited from Panama to the U.S. on lottery scam charges. The authorities in Panama have extradited a 31-year-old Jamaican man to the United States, where he'll face charges of defrauding several senior citizens of millions of dollars in a lottery scam. The police reported that Adrian Lawrence, also known as Mastermind, was detained in Panama City in January and extradited to the U.S. earlier this week at the request of U.S. authorities. He is facing a 6-count indictment, charging him with conspiracy to commit mail-and-wire fraud, as well as mail-and-wire fraud in connection with a scheme to defraud U.S. citizens. Lawrence was arraigned on Friday in federal court in New York. According to the attorney for the Eastern District of New York, Brian Peace, Lawrence and his co-conspirators defrauded dozens of elderly victims of collectively more than $5 million by willfully misleading them to believe they had won a sweepstake and needed to pay fees to release their winnings. The fraudulent scheme was allegedly committed from October 2013 to April 2020. Family of missing barber seeking answers. The family of 34-year-old Javier O'Connor is desperately seeking answers following his disappearance in December. According to a relative of the father of two, O'Connor was now seen in the Cheesefield area of Linstead, St. Catherine, where he went to visit his wife of 6 years, who is a British citizen. Him mother cry every day. Him son them ask him every day. It bothers me right throughout, the relative, who asked not to be named, said. The whole community is impacted by the whole thing. Once you walk in the community, somebody asks and express them concern. He's a barber and he's a very good barber, and enough people know him, the relative said, noting that O'Connor resides in Linstead and Kingston. The relative said that O'Connor, otherwise called Fashion, is not only responsible for his 2 children, but also his father, who is visually impaired. Him going missing this thing has been affecting their entire family, friends, his customers, and members of the community drastically. Everybody is seeking closure of what could have gone wrong leading to this, the relative said, adding that reports of O'Connor's disappearance have been made to the police in Linstead and halfway through in St. Andrew. Him leaving business and everything. So there's confusion right across the board. We just want to know what happened. You get me? The relative said. O'Connor, the relative said, is a very jovial person and is always excited about his work as a barber. He's very artistic and seems always exploring the designs to decorate his barbershop, his room, or some unique style or design to do in the ear of his customers, added the family member. Him entertaining to people around him because he's always talking and bragging, saying he's the best at what him do, or saying something that will cause people around him to laugh. Some would always say I'm a real simple man, continued the relative. The family is asking anyone with information regarding O'Connor's whereabouts to contact the nearest police. Man sentenced to 9 years in prison for chopping teen. Delmar Hines, the St. Mary man who pleaded guilty to chopping a 17-year-old boy in his head in 2021, has been sentenced to 9 years and 5 months in prison. The 36-year-old father of 8 was sentenced on Friday in the Home Circuit Court. Presiding Judge Justice Simone Wolf-Rees, while outlining the mitigating and aggravating factors, noted that Hines pursued the complainant and chopped him several times on the head. Justice Wolf-Rees asserted that such behavior is not acceptable. The police had reported that on November 4, about 12:05 a.m., Hines confronted the teen whom he accused of committing a crime. Hines then used the machete to chop the boy, inflicting several wounds, including severing his right ear. The police were summoned, and Hines was arrested and charged. Children's advocate distressed at release of video showing little boy having temper tantrum. Children's advocate Diane Gordon Harrison has highlighted the need for more resources at all levels of the education system to support children who are in need of psychosocial intervention. Gordon Harris's comment follows the release of a video on social media that appears to show a basic school-age boy having a temper tantrum. In the minute-long clip, his class teacher attempts to calm him to no avail. Realizing he's been recorded, the boy makes the offensive middle finger gesture to the person holding the camera and to his teacher. The children's advocate, in an interview on Saturday, said that recording the child while in distress was inappropriate and could result in the child being stigmatized. What the video portrayed, she said, was a child who is in need of support, serious and emergency intervention because something has gone very wrong. While acknowledging that it is impossible to assess exactly what has gone wrong simply by viewing the footage, she said there was need for an assessment, perhaps psychiatric, perhaps emotional, perhaps of the social context within the home to see exactly what is going on there. There might also be an issue related to the child's developmental milestone that needs to be addressed, she added. She said she does not believe sufficient options are available to educators when they are confronted with these situations, and in that regard, noted that teachers are now being called upon to do more than teach. JBN, we keep you informed. Please remember to subscribe, like, share, leave us a comment and click the notification bell to receive our daily news items.